بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Brother Ibrahim Deedat will talk to us about the founder of the Islamic Propagation Center International, Shaykh Ahmad Deedat, with whom he has been associated for a long time. Ibrahim Deedat was one of the people who recommended, together with the Muslim Youth Movement, that he should be nominated for the Faisal Prize. The Faisal Prize was one of the most distinguished prizes in the Muslim world for those who render outstanding service to the Ummah and to Islam. With that introduction, I would now call upon Brother Ibrahim Deedat to address us.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm very pleased to be here with you this afternoon and to share this wonderful occasion with all of you. Indeed, if we can produce the leadership for this country, if we can provide the alternative leadership, then we would have made the correct impact that Allah and Rasul wants us to do in this age and time. The gathering of students who have graduated with us today are our future leaders, and we hope that in time to come they would indeed provide us with the leadership that this country sorely needs. On this topic of the legacy of Shaykh Ahmad Deedat, I've spent almost all my adult life from teenage in the company of or in the shadow of Ahmed Deedat. We shared times when we were students and we used to visit him at As-Salam, and the hospitality and kindness that he extended to all of us are memories that we can reflect on and which continues to inspire us. This morning, as I was reflecting on what I should say, a fax came through to me from a sister in which she thanks Shaykh Ahmad Deedat for what has happened to her. And I would like you to just read this now with me, because it's one of the most inspiring things that I have come across in the many things that have been read and said about him. This comes from the heart of a sister who found Islam. So share this with me. This came on my desk this morning, and I was simply fascinated that, and it was coincidental, and I thought I should share it with you before I start talking about some of the things that I remember, glimpses in the life of Shaykh Ahmad Deedat. The sister, whose first name was Tamara Ann Mudley, and she's now Tasmira Muhammad, writes this thank you note to Shaykh Ahmad Deedat, in which she says, I wish I could express the feeling in my heart. I wish I knew where to start. But the gratitude I feel transcends all speech, and the reward I should give you is beyond my reach. You've rescued me from the cold, dark sea, and for the first time I feel the sun's warm rays on me. I feel life entering my once dead soul. You've given me Islam, which has made me whole. Thank you for the Quran, the last revelation, and a huge brotherhood, Allah's chosen nation. Thank you for reaching out to people who are lost, whose blindness and ignorance their very souls will cost. May Allah reward you for all that you've done. May Allah bless the work you've unselfishly begun. Thank you once again for the truth of Islam. For at last my raging sea is peaceful and calm. Those of us who knew Ahmed Deedat knew of his struggle, knew of his sacrifice, and knew of the time when his wife had to make mithai and sell it so that they could make ends meet, where he was selling sheep and goat so that they could make ends meet. He left his job as a master salesman. He used to work for Victoria Furniture Mart, first as a truck driver, and later on he had the agency. And this world-class salesman left that to enter the field of dawah. And from the moment he entered, it was nothing but sacrifice, and sacrifice, and sacrifice. For almost all his life, it was a sacrifice. Don't look at this building and what came later. For most of his life, it was a sacrifice, trying to make ends meet. I remember the times when his partner and the other side of the coin of IPCI, the late Ghulam Hussain Vanker, a truly remarkable and great person, on whose life we also need to reflect, didn't have enough money to pay rent for their flat. So it was a life of sacrifice, a life in which he paid with his all. There was nothing that he could do that was not enough for the deen. And on reflecting on his life, what comes out is a person who was strong and powerful, unwavering in his commitment, who stood like a colossus. And when you think about the people that stood up and opposed him, believe me that the Christian priest feared and disliked him as much as the Shaykh and the Alim did. Think about it. As much as the Shaykhs and the Alims disliked and feared him, so did the priests and the pastors and the bishops. How could it be that ulama would fear and oppose him as much, if not more, than the priests and the pastors? Something for us to think about and to reflect. At any one time, while we look at all the wonderful things that he has created, at any one time he was fighting people and stood firm against people as close to him as you can ever imagine. I was 10 years old when I went to the city hall for the first time to listen to him. And before the lecture, Shaykh Ahmad Deedat's father gets up. Those of you who may remember this will know what I'm talking about. He gets up in front of thousands of people and he berates his son. But his father was wrong. Because in the time that we are talking about, there was a worldwide anti-Muslim campaign. It was an aggression against Islam. He grew up, and most of us grew up at a time when the Western world called our religion false, called our Prophet false, called the Quran false, and condemned us to hell, saying that only the blood of Christ will save you. So this was an aggression. It was an act of war. And it wasn't local, it was international. He met that aggression in the way that Quran tells us that when they fight, you fight them back until there is peace. So in all the arguments that were presented about not fighting with them, about accommodating them, about